So a while ago, I made a video about Frank from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And now I think I'll do a video about Dennis, because this is a character study. First, I want to point out that I wasn't able to go back and watch the entire series. I mean, come on, that would take too much time. So I'll leave links in the description to the web pages where I got my information from. With that said, let's get on with the biography. Born alongside his twin, Sweet Dee, they were both subsequently raised by Frank and Barbara Reynolds. However, their biological father is Brad Majors, one of the few decent people we've encountered on the show. Now, unfortunately, we don't know much about Dennis's childhood except for a few snippets. For instance, we know that Frank would always buy the things that he and Dee wanted for Christmas, just so he could have it for himself. A tradition that he continues to this day. Frank claims that it's to teach them the value of earning things, but however true that may or may not be, it's still a dick move. Another thing that we know is that Dennis and Dee have fond memories of going to summer camp with their grandpa, which is nice until we find out that it was a summer camp for Nazis. And I would make a joke here, but I've just got nothing. Now, finally, we know that Dennis has been keeping a psychological profile on Dee since he was in the second grade, which is unsettling to say the least. So, moving on to his teenage years, Dennis lost his virginity at the age of 14 to his school's 50-year-old librarian. He tries to brush it off, saying that he was a smooth guy. However, Dee corrects him by saying that it was rape. So anyway, Dennis made friends with Mac and Charlie in high school, and as an adult, Dennis has very fond memories of those years. But at their high school reunion, people point out that he was basically an egotistical jackass, which is something that I'll talk about later. Now on to his college years. Dennis attended the University of Pennsylvania, where he minored in psychology. Apparently, though, his original intention was to become a veterinarian. And apparently, he wanted to be a veterinarian so he could keep the skins of animals. So, it's a good thing that that plan didn't pan out. Now, as for his social life in college, he was part of the Delta Omega Lambda fraternity, and as always, he has very fond memories of this. However, judging by the lack of respect that he gets from the new frat boys, and the fact that somebody wrote "I chug dicks" on his picture, I'm gonna guess that he wasn't that popular in his fraternity either. Now, of course, Dennis's adult life needs no explanation. To put it bluntly, I'd say he's a lovable sociopath. However, if I ever met anybody like him in real life, I'd stay the hell away.
It's cool. Like, I betted an older woman. That's cool.
Typically, I'm not one to talk about sex or people's sexuality, as it is a very intimate and personal topic. However, when talking about Dennis, I simply can't ignore it. The same can be said about Mac, but he's for another video. So anyway, we've already established that Dennis lost his virginity at the age of 14. Incidentally, after his marriage to Maureen Ponderosa, he says that he hasn't experienced emotion since he was 14. Coincidence? I think not. So, for Dennis, sex isn't about intimacy, nor is it about privacy. I mean, the guy tapes it. Most likely without the women's knowledge, in fact. So for him, sex is about control and bragging rights. As an example of control, he tries to seduce Mac's mom and Charlie's mom, and becomes frustrated when they say that they don't find him attractive. And an example of bragging rights, I mean, come on. It would hurt his ego to not brag about his sex life. Like I said earlier, he tapes it and even writes about it. In fact, Dennis is so meticulous about sex that he has his own system, which of course there's a whole episode about. Now here's a fun fact. The pharmacist in the Dennis system is actually Glenn Howerton's wife in real life. Glenn Howerton being the guy that plays Dennis. Anyway, in summary, Dennis sees sex as a conquest. It's not about love. Like Beavis and Butthead, it's about scoring. And since he's a fictional character, I can let that slide. But unfortunately, I know people like that in real life, and it pisses me off to no end.
The Golden God! I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds! I am God.
Anyway, like I established earlier, his sexuality is a big part of his ego. So it should come as no surprise when he flips his shit when he learns that these girls that he's hitting on have boyfriends. Because when he finds that out, it just hurts his ego. Considering that he's also Ivy League educated, I'm surprised he doesn't really bring that up very often. Because that should be a big part of his ego too, I would imagine. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about Dennis. Overall, he's a great character. Frank may be my favorite, but Dennis is definitely number 2 on my list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is a product of our great society.